Okay. Okay, for today we'll leave it the way it is. We'll see for the future. Okay, thank you. So, thank you very much.
What's between this or chocolate milk?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shakol niv'gorim. So the general difference is that when we learn about a yontif from the general perspective from Torah, without Chassidus, without Kabbalah, so we're learning about an event that happened in the past, whether it's Matan Torah that happened on Shavuos, or going out of Mitzrayim, which happened on Pesach, or Yom Kippur, which is what happened when they went out of Mitzrayim and they needed to get the Aseret Adibris the second time, and Hashem forgave them. All these events that happened, they happened in the past, but when we look back at what happened, we learn from that how we have to conduct ourselves today. First of all, we're grateful to Hashem that we went out of Egypt, because whatever happened then has an impact on us now, and we can learn from that. So we read the story, and we learn whatever we can learn from the details of the story. What way is Chassidus different? So here, in this booklet that I'm passing around, look on page 5a. This is a page from Megillas Esther, and it's the teaching of the Arizal is based on these words. Vayamim la'elu niskarim v'nasim. It says in reference to the Megillah and reference to the holiday of Purim that these days should be remembered and should be celebrated every single generation by every family and so on. But the word is v'nasim. Nasim means it should be done. So the way it's explained in Kabbalah is that when you remember the days of Yontif properly, you commemorate them in the proper way, then v'nasim, it means that the Yontif reoccurs once again. Whatever happened the first time reoccurs once again, which means when we're not celebrating only something that happened thousands of years ago, and now we're celebrating what happened then, but whatever happened thousands of years ago, every single year, when that day comes around, spiritually it reoccurs again. So this is based on the fact that, again, from all the Chassidus you learned, you're aware that everything that happens physically is a result of something that's going on spiritually, right? So when we see something happening down here, like the splitting of the sea, that means that spiritually something very unusual, something unprecedented in terms of Hashem being revealed spiritually is taking place. And as a result of that, there's also something miraculous that happens down here. But the same is with everything. Everything that happened in the past and everything that's happening now, when we see it happening down here, that means that there's something going on in the spiritual realm. So this is what it means when we say that the holiday or the yontif or the miracle reoccur. It doesn't mean the same thing happens again. Of course, the story of Pesach happened once. The story of Purim only happened once in history. But it means whatever occurred spiritually 2,500 years ago, when the story of Purim took place, whatever happened spiritually then, that spiritual revelation of godliness reoccurs every single year on the 14th day of Adar. And whatever happened spiritually on the day that the Jews left Egypt, which was the 15th day of Nisan, and that was 3,000 and something years ago, that reoccurs every single year on the 15th of Nisan, and so on. So based on that, it's not just about the past, it's about something's happening now. And how does that affect me? If I can't see it, and I don't see anything changing physically, how does it affect me? So it means that if this is happening spiritually, it has a spiritual impact on me and on the world. And by me doing the mitzvahs of this holiday, by me observing the customs of the holiday, that is like making a conduit that whatever is being revealed in terms of godly light, this yontif, I'm able to absorb it through those mitzvahs. Is this clear? Or is it confusing? Got it? So when we come to Elul, what is it that happened Elul that we can say the same thing? Oh, that everything reoccurs again. What reoccurred? So the sheet that I gave out goes back to the story when Hashem gave the Torah to the Jewish people. The Torah was given on Shavuos. So on the sheet you see it was given on the 7th day of Sivan. Then what happened? The 6th day of Sivan. Then what happened? Then Moshe went up to the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. And then he came down, and the day that he came down was the 17th of Tammuz. And he saw that they were worshiping a golden calf. What did Moshe do? He destroyed it. He destroyed he broke the luchas, didn't give them the Torah. They weren't deserving. And then, because there was a decree, a very harsh decree against the Jews, Moshe davened to Hashem for another 40 days. He went up again for 40 days and 40 nights. But this time, first time he went up to receive the Torah. This time he went up to pray and ask Hashem for mercy. But even after praying 40 days and 40 nights, they weren't forgiven. And he came down again. Being that they weren't forgiven, he went up a third time for 40 days and 40 nights. When was that? Rosh Chodesh Elul, exactly where we're standing right now. And how long did he go up for? Again, another 40 days and 40 nights. And after this third set of 40 days, Hashem said, I have forgiven them. When was that? Yom Kippur. And because of this, Yom Kippur became a day of atonement for all generations to come. So that's what you see on this chart, just the 3 sets of 40. From the giving of the Torah to the 17th of Tammuz, from the 17th of Tammuz to Rosh Chodesh Elul, from Rosh Chodesh Elul to Yom Kippur. So what our sages tell us, it's also brought down in Rashi and Chumash, that the first 40 days, Hashem was pleased with us. That's why he gave us the Torah. The second 40 days, Hashem was upset with us, and that's why there was a harsh decree. What about the third 40 days? The third 40 days, that's when Hashem forgave us. So once again, he was pleased with us. And on what basis did he forgive us? Because Moshe Rabbeinu, what he did was, he prayed to Hashem, and he reached out to and connected to Hashem's 13 attributes of mercy. And Hashem's 13 attributes of mercy are infinite, unconditional mercy. And therefore, even though the Yidden committed something very serious, Hashem forgave us, and he gave us the Torah a second time. So here's we go back to what we said before. Being that when a certain date comes around, whatever happened the first time reoccurs, every year when Rosh Chodesh Elul starts, that's the beginning of another 40 days where the 13 attributes of mercy are present in this world. And that means that we have Hashem's unconditional compassion and mercy to forgive us forever. Yes, it's a process, and it sort of reaches the peak on Yom Kippur, but these are all days of tshuva, like the original time, and these are days that what shines from Hashem's and the 13 attributes of mercy. That's what makes these days unique. So that's what I mean when I say that according to Chassidus, it's not just commemorating something that happened then over 3,000 years ago in the desert, but we're actually relating to something that's happening now, that right now, as we enter in the month of Elul, these 13 attributes of mercy, which normally throughout the year are more hidden, now they're more open and more accessible, and we can benefit from it. Yeah.
It's a dumb question, but why is the 6th of Sivan also on?
Why is what?
Why is the 6th of Sivan also on here?
The 6th of Sivan is the day that we got the Torah. The 7th of Sivan is when the 40 days began, when we started to count the 40 days. Okay, so this is the reason why when the month of Elul comes, it's called the month of Tshuva. It's a month of Tshuva. We prepare, these are the 40 days that we prepare for ultimately we reach the peak on Yom Kippur. Now, I'm sure one of the things you heard last year many times, all the students hear it, almost from every teacher, till finally they tell the teacher, please don't talk about Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li. We heard it already so many times. But maybe there's one thing I'd like to point out, and that is, look at the words on top of the page. Which page is this? Right at the beginning of the booklet. I guess it's page 2. On top of the page, you have Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li, right? So what's the last letter in each word? You know how that's Elul, right? Aleph is Ani, Lidodi is a Lamed, Vidodi is a Vav, Li. So what is the letter that comes at the end of each one of the 4 words? Yud. How much is the numerical value of Yud? So how much is 4 times 10? So this is alluding to the 40 days that start Rosh Chodesh Elul up until Yom Kippur. That's why the number 40. So again, what we're going to be going into is specifically what Chassidus focuses on. So what does Chassidus have to say about Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li? To understand this better, let's go to page number 3. Also, it's important to point out, if you could look at page number, the pages don't have numbers. I guess some have numbers, some don't. 11, 12, they'll have numbers. 12, this should be 13, 14. See if you can find this page number. It's 15, 16. This page here. First of all, this is the original source. Where does it say Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li? That's written in the book of Shir HaShirim. So what you're looking at, both pages, which page is it?
Is it this one?
Yeah, it's there. I just don't know why it's not marked off. Yours probably hasn't marked off in your book. 15 and 16.
Sure.
Yeah. So look at one page. It says Ani. I'm going to look at the second one, the one which is 16. It says Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li, which means I am to Hashem. Literally, it's a affectionate way of referring to Hashem. So that is Ani L'Dodi, I am to Hashem, to my beloved. V'Dodi Li, and Hashem, my beloved, is to me. And then it says Haroya Bashoshanim, he who grazes his sheep in pastures like roses. Okay, now look at the other page. It says exactly the same thing, but in a different order. Doidi li vani loi, which means Doidi li, Hashem loves me, vani loi, and I love him. Harei b'shoshanim. Same words. He grazes his sheep in pastures which are like roses. So what is the difference? It's saying exactly the same thing. The only difference is the order. Here it says Doidi li first, and then Ani loi. And here it says Ani loi v'Doidi li first. In other words, in one of them it says Hashem is relating to me and I relate to him. The other one's saying that I relate to Hashem and Hashem relates to me. So basically what this means is that we know many times that the relationship between Hashem and the Yidden, especially in the book of Shir HaShirim, the whole book is based on the fact that the relationship is compared to husband and wife. That Hashem, his love is for us and we love him, he loves us. But just like in a relationship, sometimes one person does something that shows their love for the other, And as a result of that, they sort of respond and they show their love to me. And sometimes the other way around, they're the ones who take the initiative. They do something to show that they love me. And as a result of that, I respond. Same as with Hashem and the Yidden. There are certain situations where Hashem takes the initiative and he shows us that he loves us. How does he show us that he loves us? He sort of reveals himself to us in some way or other. He allows his presence to manifest by doing something for me in a way where I feel his presence more than the norm. As a result of that, let's say now people that have seen miracles, they talk about in the war and they saw these miracles, hundreds of stories. But as a result of that, the person decided, I'm going to start keeping Shabbos. I'll put up a mezuzah. I'll start wearing tefillin, which means Hashem did something where he showed me that he's there for me and he loves me. And as a result of that, I feel I want to do something to him that I love him. And then there's other times where Hashem doesn't do anything of that sort. Actually, he's waiting for me to make the first move. I should show that I love him, and then I'll see something coming back from Hashem. I know I'm not going to go in the order, but the question is, which is better? Which would we prefer? We just had a Hayom Yom, I think it was actually yesterday. Either yesterday or 2 days ago, I think yesterday. Hayom Yom yesterday said like this: it's much higher if someone takes me by the hand and leads me, but it's more precious if I do things on my own initiative. In other words, there is an advantage in both. There's an advantage if Hashem sort of lifts me up by showing me his love, by showing me his miracles, doing something for me where I really feel his presence. That's an amazing thing. But there's also another thing which is even a greater advantage, and there's something more precious about it, and that is where Hashem doesn't do that, and nevertheless, I myself take the initiative to connect to him, and then as a result of my work that I put in, then he's revealed to me. There's a story with the Alter Rebbe. That the Alter Rebbe once told the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Rebbe of Chabad, that he wants to give him a gift. And what is the gift? The gift is going to be vast knowledge of Torah that he doesn't have yet. In other words, in a miraculous way, his mind will be filled with knowledge of Torah. Today would be easy. You just have one computer send all the data to another computer or to my brain, and now I have everything, all the information. What did the Tzemach Tzedek say? He said, rather not. And why not? So he said, because you, the Alter Rebbe yourself, you taught me that everything a person achieves spiritually should come as a result of their own labor, not as a gift that was just given to them. So again, there's a certain advantage of getting this gift, because no matter how much I'll learn, I'll never be able to sort of gain that kind of knowledge that I'm going to be given as a gift in a miraculous way. On the other hand, whatever I gain because I worked on it, I put hard labor into it to gain it, is much more depth to it, and it penetrates deeper into the person.
It's like the difference when you give someone money or when they earn it themselves.
Exactly. Or even when you study, let's say, imagine someone says to you, we're having this big test tomorrow. I got a copy of all the questions. Let me give you all the answers. Now you have nothing to worry about. They give you all the answers and you remember it. And tomorrow you write down all the answers and it's correct. And you get 100 on the test. But you're not going to retain that information. You didn't work on it. So it didn't really penetrate. What if you are up nights like we normally do for a test and you study and you review and you study and review, and then you have the information, whatever, it might not be as perfect as the other one, but whatever you do retain is going to stay in your head. That means that when you work on something with your own effort, it penetrates deeper. That's number one. Number two, to a certain extent, we can say that's the whole purpose of serving Hashem here in this world. Really, Hashem could have created the world in a way. Yes, what did he want? A dwelling place in this low world. So he could have created a world, which is a low world, created us, and then Hashem would transform the world in becoming a dwelling place. No, he wants us to do it. So in a sense, the whole purpose of creation is that the world should be transformed and made into a spiritual world through our efforts. And that's something which only comes when I put in the effort. But if it's something given to me on a silver platter, in a sense, that means I didn't really do it. Hashem did it for me. It's like angels. Angels are amazing. They're much greater than humans. We can't even compare to their greatness. There's a story with a Hasidic Rebbe, his name was Reb Zusha. And Reb Zusha once davened to Hashem, and he requested if Hashem could give him a gift, that he should feel fear and awe of Hashem like an angel feels it. And his request was granted. And when he had that awe and fear of Hashem like an angel, he suddenly couldn't contain it. He was just crawling under the bed, crawling on the walls. It was so overwhelming, he couldn't handle it. And he begged Hashem, please take it back. So angels, their love for Hashem, their fear of Hashem, their awe of Hashem is infinitely greater than us. But yet the whole purpose of Torah mitzvahs and what Hashem really gets pleasure from is us, from our davening, from our learning, because we're not angels, because we're humans. That's what it's all about. So if I, as a human, I'm able to sort of reach certain heights through something miraculous, it's amazing, but it's not the ultimate goal of why I was created. The ultimate goal is that we work on things through our own efforts. But nevertheless, from time to time, Hashem does perform miracles. Hashem does things where he reveals himself to every person in a different way. And that's because there's an advantage in each one. So this is known as the difference between Tishrei and Nisan. What happened to the Jews in Nisan, they also experienced godliness in a revealed way. But in Nisan, it came in a miraculous way. It didn't come through their effort. In fact, they were in a very low place. Let's remember, it says when the Jews were in Egypt, they were in the 49th gate of impurity. So the fact that they had reached such heights that they could see God in such a revealed way, they saw Hashem's clouds in the desert, they saw Hashem's presence when the sea split, they saw Hashem when the Torah was given, like things that no other generation ever experienced. They didn't achieve that through their efforts. That was just a gift. So therefore, Nisan represents the time of Dodi Li Vani Lo. Hashem reveals his love to me, and I feel like returning my love to him. Tishrei, what is Tishrei? Tishrei came as a result of us worshiping the golden calf. And then we did tshuva. And Moshe Rabbeinu prayed for Hashem's mercy. And because we did tshuva, and Moshe Rabbeinu prayed for us, Hashem forgave us. And then he gave us the 10 Commandments, the Torah, a second time. And he forgave us on Yom Kippur. So Tishrei, this is the time of the year that comes as a result of our effort. So that relates to Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li. And that's what the month of Elul is all about. It represents the time of the year that Ani L'Dodi, I reach out to Hashem, V'Dodi Li, and then Hashem responds to me. So on this sheet, which is number 5, what you see is a whole list of things showing differences between Nisan and Tishrei. And it helps us see how Nisan is the time of the year where things work in the way where we take the initiative and Hashem responds. No, the other way around. Hashem takes the initiative and we respond. And Tishrei is where Hashem takes the initiative and we respond. So let's start with this list, just to become more familiar. The first thing on the list, we have the same page number 5. Yeah. So the first thing on the list, it says Tishrei is Rosh Hashanah and Nisan is Rosh Hashanah. So when is really the beginning of the year? Nisan or Tishrei? What's the answer to that question? What? And in this booklet is page 5. Let me just check, I think. Page 5. Oh, here it's page 3, sorry. This page, yeah, 3. I guess I'm looking at an old booklet, page 3, sorry. Yeah. So the answer to the question is they're both considered the beginning, but the difference is Rosh Hashanah is the beginning of the year. The first day of Nisan is considered the beginning in months. In terms of months, Nisan is the beginning, the first month of the year. So whenever you see in the Chumash, whenever you see anywhere in Tanakh, where it says the 4th month, the 5th month, the 10th month, any number, you should know that we're counting it from Nisan. So really, they're both beginnings. There's 2 beginnings. There's the beginning of the year, and that's Rosh Hashanah, Tishrei, and the beginning of months. So just to see the words inside. Now, I'm looking at this booklet. Oh boy, I feel bad. There's no numbers. Really should have had numbers. Okay, so it's number 6. Even though there's no number, if you turn the page, it's number 6. Number 6 is where it talks about Nisan in the Chumash. HaChodesh Hazeh, this month, is Rosh Chodeshim, is the first, the beginning of all the months. Rishon Hui is the first one, the Chodesh Hashanah, for all the months of the year. So that means that this is the beginning and that's the beginning. How does Chassidus explain the difference? Number 2, it says Rosh Hashanah is the beginning for the natural order, Tishrei. And Nisan is the Rosh Hashanah for miracles. In other words, Hashem conducts this world sometimes in the natural way, most of the time, and then sometimes in a miraculous way. So when did Hashem make the decision of all the natural things he's going to do for the rest of the year? On Rosh Hashanah. And when does Hashem make the decision, so to speak, of all the miraculous things he's going to do this year? That's in the month of Nisan, first day of Nisan. So they're both Rosh Hashanah. One is the beginning of natural order, and one is the beginning of the miraculous order. Now, what is the difference between miracles and nature? Is what we said before. Nature, God is hidden. In nature, God, that's how God is concealed. All those people who unfortunately don't recognize Hashem or don't believe in Hashem, what do they believe in? Nature. They believe everything is happening because of the laws of nature. So nature is something which conceals godliness. A miracle is the opposite. A miracle reveals to us that there's a presence that's higher than the laws of nature, which is Hashem. And that's why when people experience miracles, they turn to Hashem very often because they realize that Hashem's presence is there. So this point that we just made, that sometimes Hashem is more hidden, sometimes more revealed, that is in fact the difference between Nisan and Tishrei. Tishrei is nature, that's what conceals godliness. Nisan, actually word Nisan, means miracles, and that's what reveals godliness. In the language of Chassidus, just because I like you to get used to the terminology and the language of Chassidus, Tishrei is referred to as from down up, and Nisan is from up down. What does that mean? In other words, Tishrei is from down up. We down here go first, reach out to Hashem, and then he responds to us. Nisan is from up down. Hashem takes the initiative first to arouse us, and then we respond to him. So Nisan is considered from up down, and Tishrei is from down up. Another thing which makes it, we see the consistency of the difference between Nisan and Tishrei. I'm going to jump around a little bit. Look at number 7. Tishrei is the beginning of the winter, Nisan is basically the spring and the beginning of the warm weather, summer. So it means that in Tishrei, the sun is weaker, is more hidden, and that's why it's cold. In Nisan, that's when the sun starts coming out and the heat starts coming out and it gets warm. Is a pasuk, and again, I put it in the booklet so you can see this. The pasuk is, let's see if we have a page number here. The pasuk in Tehillim, where it says Kishemesh Umagin. Yes, no number. So sorry, but it's right before the Shir Shirim page, so you'll see it. It's this page from Tehillim, chapter 81 in Tehillim. No, wrong number. Take that back. Not only is it the wrong number, I don't even think I put it in. Okay, a double wrong number. Yeah. Okay, there's a chapter in Tehillim where it says pasuk, where it says Kishemesh umagin havaya. God is like the sun and like the like a protective shade. Magin means something which protects you, like a shield. So literally it means Hashem is like a shield. He protects us. Hashem is like the sun. He gives us warmth, he gives us energy, he gives us light. But the deeper meaning is that the two names of Hashem represent the sun and the shield. So Hashem shines his light, and that's why Hashem is compared to the sun. But then nature and the name Elokim hides his light, and that's why it's compared to a shield. Which means Hashem created the world in such a way that he's not totally revealed, because if it would be totally revealed, then we wouldn't be the same natural human beings the way we are now. We'd be more like angels. And if Hashem's presence was revealed fully, it would be too overwhelming for us. So therefore, the Gashmias, what do we see the difference is? Tishrei, which is the time of nature and Hashem is concealed. The sun is more hidden. It's a time of coldness. Nisan, which represents Hashem's presence shining openly in the world, that's represented by the sun. Kishemesh umagin havaya Elokim. Another thing, if you look at number Vav on this list, I'm going back to the list that you had on page 5. There's two opinions in Gemara. When did Hashem create the world? Did he create the world on Nisan or Tishrei? And it's basically two opinions, but nevertheless, there's Mefarshim, there are commentators in Torah that say we can reconcile both opinions are true. How? That just like when a person does something, before they do it, they first think about it. They have a plan to build a house. Then they go out and build it. So Hashem created the world in thought in Nisan, but then he created the world in actuality in Tishrei. So both are true. Which means Nisan is a sort of manifestation of Hashem's thought, and Tishrei is a manifestation of Hashem's speech. What is the difference between speech and thought? It's also the same thing. Speech, things are more hidden. In other words, when you're thinking about something and then you speak about it, when you speak about things and bring it out in words, it's much different than what's going on inside your head, inside your heart. What you feel is so much more intense, so much more powerful than what comes out with your words. Imagine just now, if a hostage gets freed and they get interviewed, so how do you feel? And the hostage says, I feel amazing, unbelievable, whatever words are going to come out of their mouth or the mouth of any of their relatives doesn't do any justice to what they're feeling inside. So and the same as with all feeling, when you say things with words, it expresses what you're feeling, but the real feeling is more in the mind and the heart than what comes out through words. So again, thought is more revealing and speech is more concealed. And therefore, again, the month of Nisan is connected to Hashem's thought, where Hashem is more revealed, and Tishri is connected to Hashem's speech. Any questions so far? So quiet. Okay, let me show you another thing that makes it interesting. Yes, baby.
I understand the beginning of the year. I'm not really understanding the beginning of months. Like, that's just not making sense to me. Like, how are those two things different?
No, it means that when you count months, you start counting from Nisan. When you count the days of the year, you start counting from Rosh Hashanah.
Oh, why?
Why?
Yeah.
The answer is because they're both beginnings in different ways. Like I said before, one is the beginning and the beginning of things that are going to happen throughout the year in a natural way, because that's when Hashem created the natural world. Nisan is when all the miracles took place when the Jews went out of Egypt. So this is considered the beginning for miracles that are going to happen throughout the year. Why one is connected to months and why it's connected to days of the year, that I'm not sure what the answer is, but that's why there are two beginnings.
How do we keep track of the days then?
By Rosh Hashanah. No, the days go by the months. Today is the 30th day in the month of Nachamav. So it's the 30th day of this month, but it's the number 300 and something day of the year. Yes.
What did Hashem do before creation of the world?
What did he do before the world was created? I can't reveal that. We don't know, and we can't know, because before the world was created, Hashem is infinite, which means he exists in a different way than what we understand. He's not human. He doesn't have human needs. He doesn't have human feelings. We know what he doesn't have, but we have no idea what he is and what he does have. We don't know. He created this world.
Well, we have to define what is before, because time isn't linear for Hashem.
What she's asking also, what was right now he's busy with creating the world, running the world. What was he doing then? But the answer is, when we think of it, that Hashem is infinite. Infinite is not just means he always existed and always will exist. It also means he exists in a different way than we exist. And therefore, everything that we know and the way we feel and the way we see things, the way we perceive things, it's only because Hashem created the world that way, but he himself is not limited in any way. So what he is in himself, without us, we have no idea. There's no way we can know it.
So basically, we don't know.
Right. The only difference is that one could say, I don't know and I don't understand. One could learn and study and understand that they don't understand, which is a very big difference. There's a very famous quote, I'm not sure who the source of it is, but he writes that the ultimate level of understanding is when I understand that I don't understand him. Then someone could say, oh, great, that's where I'm right now. I don't understand the thing, so I already reached the ultimate level of wisdom. No, it's when you understand with wisdom how you don't understand them. That's different than just saying, I don't know. Another thing that alludes to this is the Aleph Beis. Very interesting thing with the Aleph Beis. If you notice, there are a lot of prayers that are written, and it's written in the order of the Aleph Beis. I put a few examples here in the book. If you look in this book, look at page. This one has no number, so it's right in the beginning. This page here that has arrows. No. Well, the next page. Look at the prayer Keladon. We sing this on Shabbos. Do you have it? Keladon. Oh, here has the number 9 and 10. It's number 9 and number 10 in the book. And Amy, in your booklet, it's probably a different number. In your book, yes. Or is it the same? No, it's the same. 9 and 10, not special. Okay. Just took it back.
Wow, thanks.
Good way to start the year, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So Kale Adon, you'll notice the first word is with an aleph. Move down the line. The last word on that line starts with a base. The last word on the next line starts with a gimel. Then the next line with a daled, das. In fact, you have the whole aleph base in this prayer, and it goes with the order from aleph, base, gimel, daled, all the way down. Look at the next page. This is another thing we say in davening. We actually say this every day, not just Shabbos. I underlined it. Look how every word is another letter of the aleph base in order. Kale, Baruch, Gedel, Deya, Heichen, Afal, Zore, Chama is the order of the aleph base from the beginning till you reach the end. Another example is Ashrei. Ashrei is a prayer which we all say every day. So again, it starts with an aleph, but then you look at every pasuk, every verse begins with another letter. B'chol yom, base. Gadol Hashem, gimel. Der leder, daled. Goes through the whole aleph base. Then we have prayers that have the whole aleph base, but in reverse order, which means it starts with the tuf, then goes to the shin, then goes to the reish, then goes to kuf, tzadik, pei, goes backwards. For example, on the next page, this is from Shabbos davening in Musaf. It says, look, tikanta, Shabbos, ratzisa, korbanaseh. If you look at every word, you'll see it's the aleph base, but backwards. And there are many prayers like that. So what is the difference? How come these great sages who wrote these prayers, how come some of them they wrote in the order of aleph, base, gimel, dalet, all down to the end, and some of them they wrote in the order of tov, shin, reish, kuf, tzadik, pei, all the way back to the beginning? And the answer is, these two ways of writing the aleph base has to do with the content of that prayer. Some prayers express the idea of going from up down, so it starts with aleph and ends with tov. And some prayers express the idea of going from down up, so it starts with tov and ends with aleph. How's that related to us? Because that's another difference between Tishrei and Nisan. So on back to page 3, it says that the word Tishrei is the order of the aleph base in reverse. How do you spell Tishrei? Tov, Shin, Reish. So that indicates the order of the aleph base, but going backwards. Because Tishrei is from down up. Like we said before, we're doing tshuva, and it starts from us. Nisan, why is Nisan? What does Nisan have to do with the order of the aleph base? The answer is because Nisan is called Aviv. In the Chumash, Nisan is called the holiday of the spring. Aviv, which is the word for spring, is spelled Aleph Beis Yud Beis. In other words, it starts with Aleph and goes to Beis, and you don't need more. Just by seeing the first two letters, you know it's going direction from up, down. And Tishrei goes from down, up. So the truth is, just to conclude this, there's a few more things, but the general idea is to understand that there's an advantage in both. So the truth is, every person in their life has both. In some areas, we say, let's say a person who was born from, it's from down up. They were born into Torah, mitzvah, Shabbos, Yontif. They were given to them on a silver platter. A person who wasn't born from and came to Torah mitzvahs to their own effort, that's from down up. But then everyone, whether it's a person who was born from or not born from, in life goes through different experiences, where sometimes it's from down up, they see Hashem's hand, and sometimes it's dark or it's closed and they have to work on themselves, and through their efforts they're able to see Hashem's hand. So we have both. We're just saying that is a time of the year, that's the Rosh Hashanah, so to speak, for miracles, and it's a time of the year that's Rosh Hashanah for things that go this way. So right now, we are in the month of Elul, and we're preparing focusing on the advantage of something which is not open, it's not Hashem in a revealed way, and yet I, through my efforts, will bring Hashem's presence in a revealed way into this world, and that's appreciated by Hashem more than when He does it from above. There's a mashal as brought down from the Mazrit Magid. The mashal is to bring out the idea that Hashem gets greater pleasure from that. But sometimes, you say to yourself, I don't understand. I want to do something good. Why do I get all these challenges in the middle? I want to do this mitzvah. Look what happens over here. I want to do that mitzvah. Something else goes wrong. If I want to do something good, everything should just go smooth. All the doors should open up and everything should be smooth. And it's almost as if Hashem doesn't appreciate what I'm doing. But the answer is just the opposite. Hashem appreciates even more when I do things when there is a challenge and I overcome the challenge. So I'm just going to get to the mashal. It's frustrating.
Thank you. That's why I want to.
It's only frustrating if we don't understand to appreciate it. But if we understand to appreciate it, it's not frustrating. Mirz Hashem, you will be married. And Mirz Hashem, you will have children. And they're going to come home from school and say, we have homework. And you're going to tell your child, sit down and do your homework, and say, no, my friend's mother, she does it for him. And you'll say, well, I'm not doing that. You say, oh, you're so mean. My friend's mother, she's so good. She does the homework for him. So is that frustrating, or is that the right way to do it?
Yes.
Because if you do the homework for him, he's not going to get anywhere, or she's not going to get anywhere in life. And unfortunately, there are people that grow up in life and they're handicapped for that reason. Everything was done for them and they don't know how to do anything themselves. So the fact that Hashem sort of hides and allows us to go through this challenge, because that lifts us on a much higher level. So the Mazrit Magid gave the mashal that there was someone that was arrested. And obviously he committed some sort of a crime. He violated one of the king's rules. And there was a case against him. And the court ruled that he has to be punished with a very severe punishment. But the rule is, the law of the land was that before they carry out the punishment, he's given an opportunity to say something, his last words that he wants to say to the king himself. So he said he's choosing to take advantage of that offer. Give me a few days. Comes back a few days. Comes back with a little parakeet sitting on his shoulder. And the parakeet starts speaking. Your Majesty praises the king to high heaven, speaks eloquently, and talks about the beauty of the kingdom and the greatness of the king, and then starts talking about himself, like why I'm defending myself, that I didn't really do this crime and I really don't deserve this punishment. And the king is sort of laughing the whole way through, because it's just like really amazing to hear a parakeet speak as if it was some sort of professional speaker. And at the end, he just waves his hand and said, okay, you're pardoned. Why did he pardon him? Only because it was a bird. If he, as a human being, would give this speech, the king wouldn't be so impressed. But because it's a bird speaking, and it was such an amazing talk that the bird gave, and it's coming out of the mouth of a bird, that's what made him laugh. That's what put him in that frame of mind. And then he said, okay, you're pardoned. Which means Hashem says, I get my pleasure from seeing humans doing their avodah, not angels, because of the challenges. And the same thing with us. We don't ask for challenges. In fact, we actually daven every day and say, Hashem, please don't give me any challenges. So don't think I'm telling you to look for it. But if there is a challenge, we should appreciate it and understand that Hashem gets more pleasure from serving him through when there's a challenge, and we do things from down up, more than things will happen from up down. Yeah.
I can ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So what about when you are trying to serve Hashem, you know what Hashem wants, you're really doing your best, and you still fail? Like, does that have value to Hashem? And how do we not get completely destroyed by, like, I can't do anything for Hashem?
Because when we fail, we pick ourselves up, we brush ourselves off, and we go again.
But does that please Hashem? That would, like...
Yes, because it means when you try to do something and it doesn't work, I'm sure as a kid you learn how to ride a bike. Most kids, when they start learning how to bike, they fall about 10 times. So you'd say, what's the point in getting on the bike? You're gonna fall down anyway. No, you go on the bike and you fall. Or a child that's learning how to walk. They walk and then they fall. They walk and then they fall. But eventually they learn how to walk. So it's the problem is that we give up. We really shouldn't be giving up. We try to do something, we move forward. And every time that it looks like as if I failed, but ultimately I've come closer to my goal and I'm accomplishing. And Hashem understands who we are, He knows our weaknesses, and Hashem loves the fact that we're not giving up and we're moving forward. And of course, the reward will come later. But basically, when you're asking, does Hashem gain anything? Of course, the more a person has to overcome a challenge, the more precious it is to Hashem.
Or if a person never overcomes that challenge.
The fact that he made the effort to overcome the challenge is what's precious to Hashem. Remember, Hashem loves us, not Hashem who's this, as people project the image of Hashem as someone who has anger and hate and wants to beat you up. Hashem loves us. He knows who we are. He knows who we're created. He knows our weaknesses. He knows what the Yetzer Hara is. And therefore, He loves and appreciates every effort that we make. Okay, to be continued.
Accidentally took this Sharpie home and I've been waiting all summer to return it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. No, it's very, very smart. All summer.
How do we close this?
Wow, really? I wish I felt like you.